Welcome to Stable Dash
Hi,
Live. How are you?
this is amazing. Thank you.
Well, Liz, it's great to see you. I'm excited to catch up and hear about the new role that you're in, all the exciting stuff that you're doing. This conversation specifically, we're actually here in the Arculus HQ right now, where the MetaMask Card was created. Tell us a little bit about that card program and where it fits within everything that MetaMask does. I know MetaMask is doing so many things under the Consensys brand. Frame where that card fits within everything that you're doing, because I know there are many pieces to this.
Yeah, I think that card was one of the most exciting products that we launched, and it actually happened last year, right? We started with specific geographies because always regulations are harder to go through when you're moving tokens into real life spendable assets, right? But like, just think about it, how incredible is the fact that years ago, nobody would have thought of the possibility of having self custody of your own assets and have a debit card that is linked to it, right? So I think that was very disruptive and very innovative. And the team has been working on this for so many years. So now the cooperation that we have with Oculus, it's more about the metal card. And of course, we always work with those partners for every product that we launch. And with them within the US, we launched a couple of weeks ago. So now everyone can order their metal card. Anybody can get also the virtual one, but of course, like the metal one is gonna give you more benefits. So let's say like up to 3% cashback, and they have like this perks with Flygird and all of these other like fun things that you can do with a regular card, right? So I think that's like just so fun
Yeah.
that actually happens in real life, right? It's not anymore this abstracted concept of like, oh, I have these assets in my wallet, but it's only for trading or it's only for, doing DeFi. So I think that's super exciting. I can go on
So
and
the
on.
metal card launched just 2 weeks ago. It sounds like it's only a couple weeks in.
Here in the US, it's very
Okay.
recent. We opened the order for it.
When you think about the user base, those who are
Mhm.
using these cards, virtual or physical, what are you learning about these users? Like, given the role that MetaMask has played, I know historically MetaMask has been and is still such an incredible, like very DeFi forward, Web3 crypto native forward company that's empowered so much of this early adoption. Are you seeing that the users of this product or these cards are still in that kind of user group, or is it becoming a little bit more diverse? How would you bucket the core user of these cards right now?
So I think it's a little bit of everything. And you know me, we worked before, so I am a big pusher into what it means self-custody, but also just providing access to users that otherwise wouldn't have a way, right? So I think in the US, we have a really good user base that is more willing to pay a premium if you get like benefits, etc. I think outside of the
Yep.
US, regions like LATAM are people who are actually in the need of this, right? And sometimes they are actually looking for ways to how to spend their tokens because the off ramps in these regions are really complicated for them and are really costly. So it's just like an easy way for a user just to tap and don't have to care about that. I need to convert into my local currency and then I'm losing this much and what is going to happen. And it's like providing a solution for these users outside of the US that otherwise they wouldn't have, right? And outside of the US, you can tell that there is much more need also for self-custody solutions, even though ramps and centralized exchanges play a huge part on that. But the user is getting really more sophisticated, right? Sometimes behind everything that has happened in the past with exchanges, people lost the trust in having their assets in like some custody entity. MetaMask Card is literally you are your own bank, but not only that, now like not only MetaMask wallet is providing you the opportunity to be your own bank, but now with the card, you actually can use those assets, right, in real life.
So today on the show, we're kind of getting an interesting taste of the spectrum of these different cards. Like we have Coinbase coming on, EtherFi, Carta is another emerging card player here in the space, and then MetaMask. When I think about how all of these different all of these programs look and feel different, the way that they're built are
Mm.
different, products and services that they're embedded within are a little different. What do you think makes the MetaMask card and the approach that that you're taking over there at Consensys? What makes this card unique in your view? What does that look like in your mind?
It's really self-custody. It's the first self-custody debit card in reality. Any other card has some sort of custody attached to it, where you have to have an account on an exchange, or like, there is always that piece. And I think that for users that are also a little bit more sophisticated, we have spendable tokens like DeFi tokens. I'm not sure if all of the cards have that, but if you are sophisticated enough on DeFi, what you can do is that you can go into Aave and do probably convert your debit card into almost a credit card, because you can just like put your Ethereum collateral on Aave and then go back to your card and spend in the Aave issued USDC. Just as an example of the tricks that you can do. So I think it's way more flexible too, in terms of, well, we have integrated many networks. So we have Linea was our first network that we integrated because of the through output and all of the requirements that you need from a network to have like payments processing, because that's also not that easy. And we have just gone live last year in November, I think, around Dev Connect with Base, Solana. So it's very flexible also, right? It doesn't like make you only have this specific type of asset. And an interesting product that we just launched the second half of last year was the MetaMask USD. That is our stable coin that is issued in partnership with M0. And we really are thinking about it as the fabric that is going to help to put everything together, everything that we have, right? So like there are so many amazing things about the card that I cannot stop. But on top of that, we have a delegation framework. So it protects the user to actually like a regular card. You remember that you have the apps that you say, I only want from this account to spend the maximum 200 and send me a notification. In our delegation framework, we have the user choosing how much they want to put in that cap. So that protects you too if someone else, for whatever reason, got access to your information. And if they did a big purchase, then like it's gonna be blocked, right? Because if it's an amount that is higher than that.
Yeah, there's so many unique aspects to how you bring the on-chain self-custodial nature of something like this into a practical program that's
Yeah.
actually what seems so interesting to me about this specifically in the work here with the Compo Secure team and Arculus team is this like, we've kind of been using this term like top of wallet, where the user behavior of using something like a physical card is something that people have been doing even before crypto was a thing. It's a learned behavior. It's something that they don't need to rethink this. They don't need to go get a browser extension or download an app or do anything. It can really drive volumes. What are you seeing just specifically on this? Because the self-custodial nature to what you've said is so key. If you're able to kind of peel back the layers here, what's actually happening when I tap this card? So if I download this app, I get this metal card, I have it in my wallet, I go to, buy a new pair of shoes. Am I signing a transaction in that moment? Like walk us through a little bit what's happening on chain there.
Yeah, basically you're in theory signing a transaction. So there is a lot of like infrastructure partners underneath. We work with a couple of them. We currently have this partnership with MasterCard. So we kind of start with that, right? Like it has to, of course, the merchant has to be in their network of merchants. Then when you submit a payment, there is an actual account that is created for you when you do the sign up with the KYC. It's a very light KYC, right? It's not like the type of crazy credit check, because it's not a credit card, but there is an account that is created. So what happens underneath is that your token is going to be converted in the local currency, but they take care of everything else, right? They take care of that conversion and that make it like compatible with your bank account that is created for you, but you don't need visibility to anything of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know for you personally, just this idea of providing access to the markets all over the world internationally and bringing financial services into a lot of these more emerging economies is something that I know for you is personally really you feel that really personally. What has it been like from your vantage point to see either the work at Coinbase or now MetaMask? Like, speak a little bit more macro on the role that things like stablecoins or things like stablecoin enabled cards. How is that? Why is that so powerful for different parts of the world for our mostly US based American audience who might be listening right now? What do we need to know about this and why it's so important?
Finally.
It only took me 4 or 5 questions.
Okay, so, oh my God, like for real, from a third world country, they can say like Colombia, for example. So when I come to the US, I realized that actually you can buy Bitcoin. You can like have a bank account easily. You can open a brokerage account easily. I think that once you are like living in the US, you take for granted all of the privileges that we have because then we don't have issues anymore, right? So like it's not like, oh, you're currency is devaluing 100% every single day, and then like there is no way to catch up with inflation, and then like, there is just very little visibility, and things that you will think this sounds like a movie because you wouldn't think that happens in an actual real place. As to seeing people with like just really like a bunch of paper, like bills paper, because their currency is not worth anything anymore. And it's like a bunch of like bags of this paper. It's all over the place because nobody uses it. And then if you are buying a piece of bread today, it's gonna be 3 times more expensive tomorrow, literally. So I think like there are just so many unknowns for us when we have that privilege. And then just seeing that finally, Bali, we are looking more seriously into it. We are paying more attention to these regions. There is an opportunity for business. I mean, it's not about not making business, of course, but the opportunity has to be approached in a way that makes sense also for those regions. It's not just okay, I have a product and I'm just gonna start to promote it because whatever. And especially when it comes to financial products, because these communities have been hit with so many lies, have been robbed and stolen so much that there has to be a component of trust that is incredibly high, and for you to be able to kind of like break the wall and like to get their trust is little by little, but it's really like, it's compounding. Like once you
Yeah.
start to grow, like Nubank, I don't know if you guys know the story of Nubank, but
Nubank,
like,
yep.
yeah, like they started in Brazil and the founder is actually from Colombia. And nobody heard here about Nubank that much, but even Warren Buffett was in the first rounds of investment for this bank. And well, they went public and like they have just like the majority of accounts in Neobank. And the majority now probably is still in market share when it comes to crypto and like offering of Bitcoin and a couple of other assets that they have now available. So anyway, for me, it's close to my heart and to my home. And I am just happy that finally we are understanding that there is a big opportunity there, and it's actually where people need it, right? It's not just for a fancy thing, it's because there is an actual need.
Yeah. When we were catching up last week, talking about this interview and, catching up a little bit, something that really stuck out to me was the playbook for go-to-market that might look different in different parts of the world, or specifically in parts of Latin America. And you had some really interesting thoughts on that. And I wanted to revisit that a little bit here. Like for a lot of brands who might be based in the US or are trying to reach products like the MetaMask Card or stablecoin enabled infrastructure cards applications. There's a neobank boom going on right now. I think a lot of companies are trying with good intentions to reach new markets, but they're not from those markets and they don't actually know how to resonate deeply. Speak a little bit to what you've seen be effective in some of these specific markets that I know when you were at Coinbase, you were going into new markets like this. What have you learned about how to reach new markets in Latin America effectively? What works there that may not work elsewhere?
This is actually a big coincidence because I was just checking some posts from someone yesterday. The CEO of El Dorado is a fintech that is based out of Latam. How he explained that the friction into the go-to-market and the penetration of these products in Latam is not about the technology. It's not, oh, the technology is really hard. It's more about the trust, right? So he went to the same point of like, you can come here and say a lot of beautiful things, but nobody believes you because it's really hard. So what I
Mm.
have noticed is that local companies are usually like, gaining way more traction than when sometimes another company from outside of the country or the region comes with the same specific, it can be just the same, right? It can be just, it doesn't have a competitive advantage. Yes, Tam is price sensitive for sure, but it's still, right? Some people are willing to pay the $2 more if they trust more that specific brand or product. So what I noticed is that is, and I mentioned it, it's not a matter of just translation. That is not the issue that these companies are facing, but it's a lack of cultural understanding. And you have to study the culture that you want to go to and promote, right? So it's complicated when a company wants to penetrate a market where they don't even know what the needs are. Like, if you want to do a remittances program, but you have never done a remittance in your life, you have no idea what the friction. No, but I saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's why I
Yeah.
say it, because I am like, Jesus Christ, how this can happen? But yeah.
Yeah, when you've gone through something personally in any area of life, if you've gone through that, if you have felt that, if that's something that is a felt experience, you're going to be in even if it's just like being a better friend to someone, like you're going to be in a better
Totally.
position if you've gone through that and you know what that feels like. What you mentioned Nubank, so let's just take them for example. I agree. They seem to have something that no one else does, like a kind of a lightning in a bottle effect of how they're growing and they're growing so fast. Whether it's them or others, like what are some specific examples of like how they might operate locally in Brazil or things that they're doing really well? Is it as simple as like, hey, we're just our leadership, our personnel, the people building
Mm-hmm.
the companies they're Brazilian? Is it as simple as that, or are there things that are actually tactically different about how they present themselves or really build trust? It sounds like you keep going back to trust here.
Yeah. And I think it's mostly about that. So Nubank, they decided to choose intentionally Brazil as their first, headquarters and expansion. And the reason for that was because at the time, the regulation was actually more friendly than any other country. And the opportunity was also way bigger, right? Like the founder of the company always tells the story about he having so many issues into trying to open a bank account himself when he was in Brazil for some time, and just like seeing that everyone had the same issue and the same problems. And then out of that, I guess, trying to solve that problem, then when it comes to go to market, they did a lot of word of mouth. That is something that we in the US, I don't say that we practice as much for when we go to market. It's not easy, it's costly, because it requires a lot of time. It's not just putting an ad in a billboard, right? So word of mouth was actually their biggest and most important strategy. And then they were, when you trust someone and you receive that back in some way, and they started very interestingly, like doing like microloans and just like
Hmm.
in order to start to advance with that and just testing. So it was giving the user some sort of record onto, oh, this person actually pays on time, so we now can give a bigger loan. So it was very interesting, everything that they did. Now Brazil have the PIX payment system that is more like everything digital. So it helps a lot also for the type of neobank infrastructure that is needed in order to operate, and easier for users to kind of ramp onto that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting because things like stablecoins, which is, as you know, a huge focus of our show, these aren't American products. I mean, these are US dollar, mostly today, US dollar backed
Mm,
infrastructure. But these are things that, you could make the argument that the majority of non-Americans appreciate, more than anyone else in the world is like the dollar access
totally.
that things like stablecoins are giving to them. It is an interesting tension of how do we help educate and equip companies who are well intentioned to bring these products to new markets and do so in a way that's actually resonant, effective, impactful. And what is, I guess, as we sort of round here and close out, what does that look like for the go to market on the BD side for the MetaMask card? Kind of bringing it back to this. So, like, what are some things that the market can expect? What are some things forward looking that you hope to bring with that card program, taking into account some of these key beliefs you have around how to do growth well?
Yeah, I think our company is very product led in general, because that's how we grew. Like MetaMask wallet, it's a product and it grew on its own. It's not like, oh, like it needed that traditional type of go-to-market approach at the very beginning. I will say, well, it became a product that went viral basically because it was the only wallet that was at the beginning for Ethereum assets.
Yep.
I think now with the different products that we are launching, the team has done an incredible job in terms of marketing and how we approach the regions. We are going to see more probably in other regions too, like more countries coming soon. In the Middle East, we are depending with some countries that I cannot say that much here, but we are at this moment really just trying to focus on expansion in terms of where is data viable, and we are going to be focusing on specific campaigns tied to that, right? But MetaMask Card, more than just being a product on its own, I think it's also just like it's everything, right? It's MetaMask wallet, it's in USD, and it's MetaMask Card, and that kind of synergy is what works ultimately. Because for the user, the best advantage is that I don't have to leave my wallet because I can do everything I need with my wallet, right? I think that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, 100%. So where do I go now if I'm
Oh yeah,
what
everyone
how do
to
I
go.
yeah, what do I do to get this card? Down is this within the MetaMask app? Is this a separate thing? What does that look like? What are the next
You
steps
can
for
go.
people who are like,
There
I'll
is,
give that a go?
yeah, that's amazing. There is a landing site that is metamask.io/card. But anyway, metamask.io is our main site. It's gonna take you to the card if you want to. I have created my card such a long time ago. So like I cannot even remember very well how to go through the mobile because I already have it there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this is how it was like literally I was testing it last year at the very beginning. So I created it like more than a year ago. So yeah, but it's really easy. I think the KYC that sometimes people don't love is the super light one, right? And it's gonna give you a lot of benefits ultimately. Like I learned from the rest people here also. Like I want to talk about Daniel Lynch. That was a pioneer in everything that has to do with card. He really started all of this project that was not easy at all, and he was our banking guy. He knew everything about banking and this
Yeah,
tradition.
shout out Daniel.
Shout out to Daniel. That now it's gone, but his house is still his family. So
Yeah, Daniel is onto a new role at Aave. He's gone, but not far away. I guess we'll say that.
we are still in
Well,
the tea
Liz,
here.
thank you for this. We
No,
would
I
love
appreciate
to,
it.
have you on again. We're here. I'm getting some pings from some people who are like, "Are you in a kitchen right now, Drew? Where are you right now?" If you're asking that question, I am not in a kitchen. I am in the Compo Secure facility where the MetaMask card is being manufactured. It's being cooked, it's being etched, your name is going on it. Behind me, there are people working on these cards, not just for MetaMask, but 95+% roughly of all of the metal cards around the world that are being created are done so by the team here in New Jersey at Compo Secure. So we're here today doing the show. Liz, thanks for joining us. We'll talk
Thank
soon,
you.
Liz. Thank you.
Have a